feedback Nicholas was getting was just kick it long. If you're in trouble, just kick it out. Like, I mean, that's what I heard in 90 and 89. I mean, it's 2000.
Yeah.
Which clubs is it doing that now? Which big academies? Nobody play like that. You know, so yeah, the field is a big issue, and that's main priority. Without that, we ain't going nowhere.
Greetings, sports fans. Welcome back to Edivision, the channel where we look at sports differently. Today, I'm joined with a former national player, Mr. Gregory Simmonds. He's also the founder and president of OneTouch Central Academy. Mr. Simmonds, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm okay. Could be better, but
yeah.
Doing the best, you know. We know that you're a Manchester United fan, but talk to us about your upbringing and how you got into football.
Yeah, so my older brother Sean Simmonds played, and obviously my father played for Jamaica. My father's brother John Simmonds played for Jamaica, so it was kind of in the blood anyway. So as a young youth in Jamaica at 5, I was always on the street playing with my brother and his friends. I just fell in love with the game at that point. So just growing up on the streets with with the older guys and just hanging out and playing with them. So that's kind of where the love of the game started for me.
And you grew up in Jamaica, right? Or you went to US at the early
Yeah, man. I grew up in Jamaica. I went to St. Peter and Paul, and then from there I went to St. George's. I left Jamaica in 4th form. After playing 2 years, Money Cup, 90 and 91. And I migrated.
For persons that don't know you, what type of player were you?
Yeah, well, I was the more, I thought I was creative. I played in midfield. Sometimes I play up top. But in Jamaica, I mainly played in the midfield. It was me, Trevor Spencer, I think Andy Williams was in the midfield. Ali Rose was up top. In the Money Cup in Pepsi. I think I played forward for Pepsi with Andy and a bunch of those guys. Friends. I played both forward and midfield, but I was more of I would say more technical finesse. My father always say I like to assist, but I scored a lot of goals as well. So I was more of the creative side.
Yeah. When you went to the US at your high school, you were the first All-American athlete. What is that exactly, and how important was that for you?
Yes, obviously I didn't want 90 at the time, but it means that I was the top 50 best players in the country at the high school level. So apparently it's a big accomplishment to be in the top 50 in the whole country of the United States in high school. So yes, that was a big accomplishment. But again, at the time, I didn't understand and know exactly what that meant.
Yeah, so you were kind of like a whisper back then, Dujan Richards.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I watched him play. I wouldn't say I was that explosive and flying. I was more technical. I was a goal scorer. I like to score goals. So I think I was the second goal scorer in Money Cup 91 with 11 goals at George's. But then I left. I had like 3 more years to play Money Cup. But I left early. But yeah, I like to score goals. I like to create love assists as well. So I was more on the offensive, creative, goal scoring side of things.
You played for the national team after the World Cup 1998. Made a debut in and around 1999 thereabout. Didn't play a lot of games, but do you have a favorite moment wearing the Reggae Boys jersey?
Well, I want to say I was in the pool during the World Cup in 96, 97 with Samoys. And I was at Howard University at the time. And he called me aside and said he'll definitely want me to stay with the team, but at that time he wanted professionals, or if you're not professionals, he wanted you to stay with the team the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I was at Howard University on a full soccer scholarship, and it was a decision that I had to make with my family. Do I continue going to college, or do I take this opportunity up full time? But I wasn't too, I wasn't too confident or certain, and he wasn't certain, because obviously it's a pool of players that he has to pick the best players at the end. So I didn't want to risk that and drop out of school and the team.
Right.
So I just decided to finish up college and stay in college at the time. And then after that, when I had some more opportunities after the World Cup, but it's always an honor. I played with all the youth teams growing up, the U17, U20, and it's always an honor and a dream for any local player to put on a national jersey. So at the senior level, it was even more of an honor. But it's, after that, 99, I didn't get much more opportunities. I'm not sure why, but it was just one of those things. But yeah, it's a dream. It was an honor to say I was a part of the Reggae Boys.
All right. You definitely played a lot of games though for club. Made a living in the USL 1, the MLS. How different was it then compared to now, those leagues? I know the money is totally different, but apart from that, how different?
Everything is different. Yes, A-League at the time was very, very high end. It was a lot of teams. It was nearly 30-something franchises in the US at the time. That was when US, maybe the MLS was probably 4 years in existence at the time.
Yeah, just started.
So that was a brand new league. But when I graduated Howard and I went to play in the A-League in Hershey, you had top players in the league at the time. Well, you had Anandi Lowe was playing, Gregory Messan was playing, Fabian Davis was, a lot of top Jamaican players that went to the World Cup was playing in the league at the time. So it was a very strong league. So yeah, I had 2 very strong seasons there. I had the opportunity to go to MLS my first year after finishing with 18 goals in the league and Rookie of the Year. But again, as I said, the opportunity wasn't right at the time. So I decided to stay and play in the A-League again, because it was a good time. I mean, we played in Hershey in front of 15,000 fans, and I was at home. I was very comfortable. The team was kind of set up around me, so I was in a very comfort zone. That I just said, let me play 1 more year before I try the MLS. So I did that, and I went to the MLS. I was in the Miami Fusion, which was the best team in MLS at the time, and they still say that was probably one of the best teams ever up to this day. A lot of top. Tyrone Marshall, just to name a few. Andy was there, but he left. A lot of English Premier League players was on it. A lot of US national team players was on it. And then the following year, I met with Ray Hudson at the end of that season, and I was going to be the main striker. But then the team folded because both franchises were lost in Florida at the time in MLS. It was the Miami Fusion and the Tampa Bay Mutiny, both folded. So then I didn't wait for another opportunity in MLS, because the Rochester Rhinos, which was the top biggest A-League team in the US at the time, they wanted me so bad. So I decided to sign there, and they were looking to move in the MLS at the time, because they were actually bigger than the MLS teams at the time. They were getting 20,000 people at their games every night. So I did that, but yeah, MLS, to compare to what it is today is a whole different. I mean, we basically paved the way for what it is now, because we weren't, we didn't have our own training facilities. Now they have their own stadiums. Financially, it's a whole another level. But yeah, no, it was still great. But again, somebody needs to start it, I think I was a part of
Exactly.
that. Yeah, we
Right.
were one of those of the generation that helped it to get to where it is today.
Mhm. You took the route, the college route. Do you think, would you advise young Jamaicans to do that, to take that route as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's important because in many factors, a lot of stigma is out there thinking that college soccer is not good, college football is not good. It depends on obviously the school and the league that you're playing in. There's many different divisions, quality of teams, and different conferences. But if you're a top player, you go to one of the top schools. It's massive because not only the football side of it, but the professional side of it, and also you going out on your own at that time and being in an environment where it's more developing, it's not jumping from Monica up and going straight to a real professional team where it's a job where you're not gonna get much chances. You slip your slide at the professional level because they're paying you. But if you go to college,
Right.
it's still a professional environment. You still have the weight training. You still have the proper facilities, proper coaching. But it gives you a time where you can grow up as an individual because you're on your own. You're making your own decisions. And then you obviously get an education. So there's a lot of stigma that you shouldn't go that route. And again, for me, I think that what I hear and what I don't agree with is players all develop at different times, right? So you find players develop at 16, right? They're very good at 16, but then you have some players that don't develop or reach their prime or develop to a level that they're professional level until they're 20, 21. So everybody makes their own decision. You can't go off of what the next man is doing. You have to watch your own journey and have proper mentors, people to help you make your own decisions. So there's some guys, dime a dozen, like the Leon Baileys and the Whisper, that those are the special players that I say college, no chance. You need to bypass college and go straight
Exactly.
to the pro because you're ready. But then what about the next 98% of they're not at that level. 99.9 of them not at that level. So what's the next route? Get a scholarship where you can get an education and play at the top level at the same time. Because right now, a lot of European teams, a lot of MLS teams are looking for college players. The reason why they're looking at college players now is because it shows their professionalism, it shows their maturity because they have to go to class and they still play football and they have to manage all of that. That's what it takes to be a professional, right? So it shows any professional club or scouts, who are they going to decide? A player that's in Jamaica, right? That's playing Premier League or playing the national team in Jamaica, or a kid that's in college that's getting proper nutrition, proper training, a proper professional environment, and has to go to school and manage all of this on his own. They're going to choose the college player because you're more mature, you're more ready for the pros than a local. So yes, 1,000%. I think and a lot of top players now even go to college for a year or two. And if you're that good in the top professional team college, then you can go pro, because you can always finish your course in time.
Right.
Yeah. So there's many options, and I think the big disagreement that I have is that they bypass in college. Because again, there's a Whisper and the Leon Bailey's only those two. And Baby Gardner, and rarely you find out of the last 100 years how many players have really made it in professional level that make enough money that they can live for the rest of their lives. Right? There's only probably two of them right now. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at it individually. But I think college route is definitely a way to go. It just gives you more options in life. Because what about when you finish play your career? You only play for 10 years professionally max. Then you have another 50 years to live. What are you going to do? So you have to think. Right. You have to think bigger. Yeah.
All right. Now, how does it feel to have two kids playing for the national team in Kameron and Nick?
Yeah, man, it's a surreal feeling. I get that question all the time. It's a surreal feeling. I wouldn't say that was a goal or or something that I pushed on them, or they even pushed for themselves. I just believe that if you tell me you want to play this game at a very high level, you have to commit, right? You have to sacrifice a lot. It's 7 days of training year round. It's not just train part time and play 4 months of the year and then play another sport. It's full commitment. So once they told me that, then I was all in with them. When they're not training with their team, I am training them on a personal level. But then I just saw the talent, and I just saw the potential in them, and we just keep pushing and keep training. And then they fell in love with the game themselves, and that's why they are where they are. And there's still a lot more work to be done, but the potential is there. So I'm it's very surreal to see them have on the Jamaica colors. It was kind of emotional just seeing them have on the colors and national anthem singing and them standing there representing the country that myself and my father and uncle played for. So it was a special feeling.
Yeah, and that's definitely something embedded in a family blood. Definitely. Was Jamaica the only option? Were there any other chance for them to represent the US? Or was it always Jamaica?
Yeah, no, for me, it was always Jamaica. We had some opportunities, some people reaching out, but we never really pushed that. Because once I heard there was an interest in Jamaica, then we just focus on that. Because again, it's my country and passion and the culture that I want them to build on. They're born here, but we go to Jamaica every year, spend 2-3 weeks every single year with them, because I want them to feel that culture and know their heritage. So when the opportunity come to Jamaica, and we heard that there's an opportunity, we went all in for that.
All right. I know that Kameron recently played down under in Australia, scored their first goal. How was that like? First goal for the senior team for Kameron.
I mean, it was amazing
as a dad.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, man, because it's the way she scored the goal. I mean, the repetition of how many practice we have done with that way she finished it. It was proud. It's a proud moment because it's about 3 years every time we work on finishing. These are the simple finishing that I teach her is you don't always have to kick it hard. You can just place it in a corner. And just to see it come to fruition was an amazing feeling. And not only that, for her, the work that she has put in over the years. Kameron started playing football at age 12 and never really played on a top team until she was 15. And at that time she was still raw. So just to see her journey from when she started to where she is now, people might think it's just genetics and it's just natural. She put in millions and millions of hours. And so that's why it's such a great feeling for all the hard work that she put in to get that goal and Jamaica is a surreal feeling.
All right. Now, talk to us about your academy. This is where you get to plug the academy.
Yeah. So my academy is a little bit different, right? It's totally different from what's happening in the US. And I think it's totally different from what's happening in Jamaica. It was something that I created on my own. Just as a Jamaican growing up on the streets and playing, never really had any coach teaching me technical training and teaching me how to use different parts, the fundamentals of the game. I was never taught that. But it was different in Jamaica because you're always playing on the streets and everybody juggling and you have coming, that's just part of our culture, but that wasn't here in the US. So when I finished playing, I started coaching at one of the youth clubs, the local youth clubs, which is, they train 2-3 times a week and have games on the weekend. So I was coaching maybe a U10 team at the time, but I noticed the kids couldn't control and pass, really. The technique was bad, right? So, I was spending a lot of time teaching individuals the technique, because I believe before you jump in a game setting, you have to have the basic techniques of how to play the game. But then the directors and the parents didn't like that because they're just thinking of competition. They just want to play on the weekend and win game. They don't understand um, that it takes individuals, right? So I just became more passionate about individual development. So more on the technical side of things.
Yeah.
So a OneTouch program where it gives the kids the more flexibility to train outside of their team setting. So you have all these kids they play football on their club teams or their own teams. But my program is set up where kids can come in, like it's set up as a gym. So you pay a monthly fee membership, and you can train for 3 hours a day every day if you want. There's different classes. It's all indoor, and it's all based on technique, right? The proper way to shoot, the proper way to pass. You're juggling the area control, deal ball in your chest and your thigh, and headers, everything. It's just more the fundamentals of the techniques. Because I see a lot of guys, even big man now playing, they still don't have the proper techniques, how to shoot with their left foot or right foot. They're either one-footed, they don't know how to cross the ball, they don't know how to bend it, different techniques like that. So that's all we focus on. And we have had tremendous success. I mean, Kameron was a prime example. Nicholas, I mean, they lived there. I mean, that's where the technique come from. That finishing that you saw Kameron did, that was just all the technique that I'm talking about, and his repetition of it, right? So, we have players playing in Germany, in Holland, used American players that come through the program. A lot of top players. We have kids playing in the US, in the MLS right now. So it's my little niche. We have 600-700 kids in the program. That's all year round. It's just like in school. If you need some extra lessons in math, right? You go to a tutor, get what
Evening
we are
class.
for football. Yeah, evening class. Just to refine your. So that's what we are providing. That's very unique. You won't find that in the US. So it's been very successful to the point where it's almost like a franchise now. We have like 3 in Charlotte. We had 2 in Richmond. Obviously, I own all of them. But now there's a guy reached out to me, wanted to bring this to Charlotte, South Carolina. So I gave him a model, and he's doing that now. There's 2 of them down there, and the goal is
Good
to get.
Stuff. And where are you based?
I'm in Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Okay.
Start in Virginia. And then the other piece of what we provide is futsal. Futsal is a big part of our program. I don't know if you're familiar with futsal, 5v5, the best player play that, in Brazil, all them guys, right? Messi, all them grew up playing futsal. And that's another thing that I noticed the American players didn't have was that, individual flair in a game setting. So we're big. We have a futsal academy as well, year round. Every Friday night, we compete. National level, we have an academy which is year round. We're the only ones in the US that have a year-round futsal academy. So my whole philosophy is development between 8 and 13, and that's the fundamentals of the technical training. And we use the game of futsal to create that because futsal is more creative. A lot of repetition, dribbling, touches, passing, and it's fast-paced. Because I believe once you get that down at that age, and then you move on to U14, 15, it becomes more of a tactical game. So once your touches and your technique is down, and you know how to, play in small spaces and play in triangles, and then after that, when you go to a next level where it's more tactical, the ball becomes second nature for you. So now you can focus on the functional side of the game. So that's my philosophy, and that's basically my academy. Both of them.
Good stuff. So like some great work you're doing there. So how is your relationship though with the JFF? Obviously you produce Kameron and Nick, but what are you doing to make that link though with the JFF? Is the JFF contacting you? Looking, exploring, wanting to see players? How is that relationship like?
No, there's no relationship. It's just Kameron and Nicholas get the opportunity, and just like any other parent, that's it. There's no real contact. There's no sort of relationship dialogue with the JFF at all. No. Okay. Again, like many of us in the US, Tyrone, Andy, a lot of we're all A licensed US pro coaches that have all the license possible. We have the highest license in the US. All of us passion is to help in whatever way we can. But we have never been reached out to or asked, or we don't know how the whole process works. But I think now, for me, once I went down to the U17s play in Guatemala with my son, I became more passionate now and more driven to figure a way how to help, because it was very sad to see what I saw. Because it's, when I played U17, and that was 2000, that was 91, and now we're in 2023, and it's the same. It's the same thing going on. So
yeah,
I couldn't. I was embarrassed. I was, I felt bad because most of what I feel bad about is for the players, because there's so much talented players, but they're just not going in the right direction. And it's our responsibility of adults to come put our minds together and figure it out. So that's the process I'm in right now, is how can I help in whichever way. I don't need money. It's not about money. It's not only a job. It's whatever I can do to help, even if it's just go mentor a kid or something. I don't know. But like again, I'm in dialogue with all the top coaches, Jamaican coaches here in the US, and we all talk all the time, and we're trying to figure out how to help, because it's a sad state of affairs here in what the professional coaches here are saying, and the college coaches here are saying about Jamaica and the JFF and the program coaches is embarrassing. So and they all say we have quality players. Jamaica always have quality players, but they're not being coached. So when we get them in our system, they can't adjust, because it's they're all individualized players. But when you put them in a system, they struggle, because now you have to use your mind. You have to think about the game. You have to think about my position and my shape as a unit, not just individually. So when they come in, it's kind of foreign to them. So they get left behind. But individual flair and talent is a killer. But you can't play in a top program with individuals. You need a collective. You need quality with quality. Then you need the individual quality with the brains to be able to function in a system. So it's sad. I can't believe it. I kind of embarrassed, but knowing that now that I went there and see it for myself, I think I'm on a mission now to figure out how to help.
Yeah, and another thing that is pretty embarrassing, the national coach Al Grimson, last week stated how the pitches were very terrible condition locally, and he blamed the pitches for how the Jamaicans, how we play football, in terms of the long ball style of play. Do you agree with this?
1000%. You can't play football on a bad field. I don't care if it's Messi you bring from Jamaica, he can't be Messi on those fields. It's impossible. So, that alone should explain it all. You can't. Today, modern football is on the ground and knock it, play out the back, play through the midfield. Break lines. It's all about passing and moving, right? And you can't. It's impossible to do that on the fields in Jamaica. So that's why I'm assuming, now that I'm thinking about it, that's why the bad habits are in Jamaica. They just kick it. When I was playing, he used to say, "Kick it out of your life." That's still
out of your life.
Still go on today. I can't. So I understand.
We're seeing it at different levels to the senior team, the youth teams, the same type of out of your life, long ball.
And I guess that's the main purpose. The reason is because you can't play on the ground, right? Them kids don't know how to play on the ground. And so that's a big factor. Jamaica will never make it, or will never get better without the field. That's priority. That's number one before you can start think about style of play and functional play and system of play. You can't. You have to just play it long. But for me, if I was there in Jamaica, I don't care about the field, but we're still going to play on the ground. You have to. You just have to. It's not to the point where it's you'll find some good field. I don't even see the attempt to play. That's the issue. I don't even when the 17s went to Guatemala. Those are good fields. So at least play. I still didn't do it. So
it's embedded in the mind. It's in the head, long ball, regardless regardless of the condition of the pitch.
Feedback Nicholas was getting was just kick it long. If you're in trouble, just kick it out. Like, I mean, that's what I heard in 90 and 89. I mean, it's 2000.
Yeah.
Which clubs is it doing that now? Which big academies? Nobody play like that. You know, so yeah, the field is a big issue, and that's main priority. Without that, we ain't going nowhere.
I want to thank Gregory Simmonds for joining us. Wonderful interview. You got a chance to know who the player is or was, know about his son and his daughter playing at the highest level. And if you like this interview, guys, you know what to do. Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, Gregory Simmonds here on live with Eddie Vision. Please like, share the video. It's a great show. Happy to be a part of it.